Assalamu alaikum students, how are you? I hope you will be fine. Today we are going to study unicellular and multicellular organisms. Organisms comprising of a single cell only are called as unicellular organisms. Unicellular organisms exhibit all functions of life. For example, they need food and oxygen to grow and increase in number. Similarly, they also need to get rid of toxic materials produced in their body. They also respond to their surrounding environment. Unicellular organisms are visible only under microscope and we cannot see them with our naked eyes. Unicellular organisms are supposed to be the oldest form of life. It is believed by the scientists that life evolved on this earth in very simple unicellular form. Major groups of unicellular organisms include bacteria, unicellular algae, and unicellular fungi. Here we can see some of the examples of unicellular organisms like amoeba, euglena, and bacteria. Now we can also read it from the textbook. Unicellular organisms. Unicellular organisms are composed of a single cell, which means they carry out all of their life processes as one single cell. We have already discussed that in case of unicellular organisms, a single cell performs all vital functions. They take in food, excrete waste, move, grow, and reproduce. Here we are told about those vital functions. Most unicellular organisms are so small that they can only be seen under a microscope. Unicellular organisms cannot be seen without a microscope with certain exceptions. For example, there are some bacteria which can be seen with naked eyes. However, some are visible to the naked eye. Organisms like the amoeba and euglena are single-celled organisms. They are the oldest forms of life. They existed about 3.8 million years ago. Again, we have already discussed that it is believed that the unicellular organisms are the earliest forms of life on Earth. Bacteria, unicellular algae, and unicellular fungi are the main groups of unicellular organisms. Now we are going to study multicellular organisms. The organisms comprising of more than one cells are called as multicellular organisms. Multicellular organisms exhibit a wide variety, ranging from simple organisms comprising of only a few cells to highly developed organisms comprising of millions of cells. In case of multicellular organisms, different functions are performed by specialized cells. For example, there are certain cells which are involved in digestion of food. Some cells are specialized to carry oxygen to all cells of the body. Similarly, the process of respiration, excretion, coordination, etc. are also performed by their specialized cells. Multicellular organisms can be seen without microscope, and there are a lot of examples of multicellular organisms around us. For example, plants, trees, animals, and even human beings are all examples of multicellular organisms. Now we can also read it from the textbook. Multicellular organisms. Organisms that consist of more than one cell are known as multicellular organisms. The cells attach to each other to form a multicellular organism. It means that in multicellular organisms, the cells are connected to one another. In multicellular organisms, different functions are performed by different types of cells. We have already discussed that different functions are divided among different types of cells. Most multicellular organisms are visible to the naked eye. We don't need to use a microscope to see a multicellular organism. Mold, mushrooms, cats, dogs, rose plant, trees, etc. are some examples of multicellular organisms. All the life functions performed by a living organism are divided among different types of cells. I hope that now you will be able to describe the unicellular and multicellular organisms and the differences between them. However, if there is some question in your mind, you can ask in the comments. Allah Hafiz.